Hey, everybody. It is just after 7 o'clock here at the Erie Playhouse. As you can see, the blazer has come off. The stage lights have come down. It is time for a very serious conversation. Actors talking acting. I'm so excited to be joined by two of my castmates from The Elephant Man, one of whom was also in A Doll's House. So we also have, wow, this is like all over the place. I would say if we weren't live, this would be like cut and like start over, but we can't do that. So anyway,
It's almost like theater.
yeah, exactly. We've got a couple of folks from The Elephant Man. We've got a couple of folks from A Doll's House. And we're going to talk about our experiences working on those shows together. So joining me to my left, we have Bunny Manchester, who played Nora in Doll's House.
Hi, thank you for having me.
We have Howard Lang, who played Treves in Elephant Man.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
And we have Jim Nash, who played Torvald in Doll's House, but also played Cargom in Elephant Man. It's been a few months, and as we were discussing before we came on, much of that show has just gone right out of my head. So thank you guys. I'm looking forward to discussing and maybe remembering some things that I've forgotten about the show. So before we do that, though, let's do a quick update. Let's see where our numbers are. So we've been getting those donations in all day long at eriegives.org, and we are now at $44,148. That is awesome. Thanks to everyone who's given so far at eriegives.org. You can also give by phone at 814-454-0843. By phone, you have until 8 p.m. Online, you can give until midnight. So keep those donations coming in. And thank you to everyone who's donated so far. And let's get to it, folks, shall we?
So does that mean you're released at 8, or are you locked in here till midnight?
I'm here for the rest of my foreseeable future.
Oh, okay.
Welcome home.
That's a healthy boundary.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, my wife's at rehearsal anyway, so like we're good.
The love of the craft, I guess.
Right. We'll see each other in November.
Oh.
No, we're doing a show together, so we'll see each other at rehearsals.
That is true.
So, first of all, again, thank you for being here. I know I threw the curveball at you when you guys got here and said, we're just going to talk and interview each other and just kind of ask each other questions. So that's what we're doing.
One could call it improv.
Absolutely. So again, the two shows we're going to be talking about are A Doll's House and Elephant Man. Chronologically, Elephant Man went first. So to give folks at home a little bit of a reminder, I think we have the trailer for Elephant Man queued up. We'll start off with that, and then we'll be right back.
Yet in general, he joined our lives as best he could, and in spite of all this indulgence, he was quiet and unassuming, grateful for all that was done for him, and conformed readily to the restrictions which were necessary.
He was highly intelligent. He had an acute sensibility, and worse for him, a romantic imagination.
And that was The Elephant Man. And of course, let's take a look at A Doll's House. So I'm going to throw a question out to anyone who wants to answer it. Where do you start with a show? When that script first is in your hands, what are you doing before rehearsal, or what is your process? Where do you start?
I'll go. I need to get hold of that script immediately.
and I want to read it several times, and I want to know everything my character says about himself, and I want to know what your character says about me and your character, because I really just believe that everything you need to know about that show, it's already in the script. You have to dig for it a little bit though, and how your character walks through the world and how people respond to that person gives you everything you need to know to build him. You get to like some freedom to make some things first, but the playwright tells you everything you need to know about him, so I just dig through that first.
I love that. That's a very external way of doing it, of being like, how does your character exist within the reality of the show? And then you build backwards into the psychological. Ooh, I love that. I also need the script immediately. I look at it in a very like constructivist way. I want to take the play apart and figure out why the writer had you. It's probably not the best way to do it as an actor. It's more of a director's way of taking like, well, why does this scene exist? Well, it exists because the scene before it exists. Well, why does that scene exist? Well, what happened before that? So I start at the end and go backwards, and I'm a visual learner. So I'll write it down on note cards and tape it on my wall, kind of like a serial killer. But I swear it really helps to visually plot out where's the climax of the piece, where is the point of no return, and then I get to kind of weave in and out of my character's journey and figure out where's my arc. So I go like really big, and then I hone into character as opposed to starting at character. I kind of do it backwards.
Can I say, and I'm going to cut off. This is how this conversation is going to go, but we can keep jumping back in. I just want to tell you. So I know that's how you map things out. I have started doing that as a writer.
Oh,
and that has really helped me in my writing process, to the point where I've done the whole note cards and tape it on the wall, sort of the fray tag, you know.
Yeah, it's Alan Ball, backwards, forwards. I did not come up with that. I stole it. Good artist steal. I'm a really good artist. So, but I
will say, like, that is absolutely helpful as a writer as well.
Yeah.
To kind of take that approach of like, why does this happen? And I've found myself rearranging scenes or going, you know what? Maybe there's some dialogue that I'm in love with in this scene, but this scene does not need to exist.
I love being pretty brutal with scenes when I like devise things and stuff like that. I like to really cut out everything I can to really get it tight. Yeah. What about you?
I would say that my approach is sort of a hybrid approach where it's all got to be script first. I think we all agree there. But what I like to do is sort of how Jim, you approached it, is you go kind of from character first, where I take all my characters' actions and dialogue through the scene and sort of try to parse through what his actions say that they want. And then I sort of go through from the language side of it and say, what is he saying that he wants? Because people are complex, characters are complex, and a lot of the times what they're saying they want doesn't necessarily correlate with what they're actually doing in the scene.
Yeah.
So I go from sort of a motive place first to sort of ground what my character wants and what their actions are leading them towards. And then from there, build out the world, build out the movement as a collaborative process. So that's my approach 90% of the time.
It's like you're finding the actions to find what was your objective in the beginning. That is kind of a backwards way too, but it is more character centered.
Yeah, it's cool. Like a hybrid between the director's mindset and the actor's mindset, but it helps me hone in on an initial approach to the scene, and then as you play with it and as you experiment, you sort of find the happy medium there. So
very cool.
Yeah, I similar. I think we all have the same sort of appreciation for the script, and that, you know, is building block number one. I will say for me, certainly in Elephant Man, but also just in a lot of the roles that I play, the physicality is so important. And obviously that's the case in the Elephant Man, right? But I think that's true in most characters. For me, the memorization comes from putting it in my body, whether it's something very distinct about the physicality or just the blocking. So that's where I like to get on my feet and get moving through the show as quickly as I can, because A, it helps me develop the character, but B, it really helps me with memorization. You know, the mechanics of, I know at this point I'm in this location. Howard, I feel like for Elephant Man, that was a huge help for me, was even just knowing, okay, Howard's walking on stage now, so now I know what's coming next. Like, there were a lot of moments in that show where it was really the others on stage were my cue into what happens next, because it's one of those where you really don't leave the stage that much. So
I was going to say, you were really on stage the whole time for that show, weren't you?
It was like once I was on, I was on for the most part. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think and even just the crew. Like I remember there was one point where I know, okay, I exit off stage, but it was Maddie being in the wings with the jacket for the dream sequence that kind of propelled me on to what came next. And
Yeah.
Jim with my business card, because I would keep forgetting to have one. So
I was a business card wrangler for you.
yeah, thank you for that.
I think you bring up a really interesting topic besides movement, which I'd love to talk about, but costumes and like the importance of building character through externals, whether it's movement or costumes. How do you kind of build, once you've got like your idea of like, what am I doing and all that stuff, but how do you build the who are you? Do you rely on external sort of things, or do you kind of go more internal and create like, what did my character have for breakfast today? What do you do? I need costumes. And I'm one of those really annoying actors who will bring in like rehearsal costumes because I need to know. I don't know. I'm going to sit like a truck driver unless I know I'm wearing a skirt. And even then sometimes. So I need to know, am I wearing, like, what are the things that the director sees me in so I can physically feel it and get how do I walk in this piece? Is it a time capsule piece versus sometimes I'll even wear like exaggerated pieces to kind of exaggerate body movement to get that into my body for psychological gesture kind of purposes. How does costumes move you or movement move you for character development?
I would say that comes in a later stage of the process for me personally, only because like in the initial part of the process, it all comes down to making choices. And that all comes at the beginning, at least from the internal sense I have of the character, where once you start feeling enough confidence in the character to start making those choices, I think you can build on those initial choices with the addition of a consistent movement choice that you block in with the director. Or once you start to add in the costume piece, you can continue to build off of those initial character choices you make with the dialogue initially, or in those initial blocking stages. So I think that's more of a, once I get to that stage, is more of a polish into
like layering it on top of your work.
Like once you start to get into establishing a routine without it feeling what's the word, like too stagnant.
Sure.
Like the costuming helps at that stage for me to make it still feel fresh and allow for some new choice.
So you don't get locked in.
Right. Because that's a fear I have as an actor is getting too locked in. Especially since so much of my process revolves around that initial blocking. It's never a good habit to start memorizing too early on, because then you have an early idea of what you want to do before you get into the blocking. But once you get the blocking down, you don't want to get too used to the same choice over and over again. You want to be, at least I want to be experimental as I can in that initial stage. So kind of a layered answer there, but I think the costuming is a very important piece once you get into that refinement stage for me. So
what,
that actually made me think of something interesting when you talked about not wanting to get too locked into a line delivery or anything like that. I don't know if this is something that has come with age. Not that I'm that old, but I've been doing this a little while now. Go ahead, make the joke you want to make.
You're a mere sprig of a girl. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's right.
Spring chicken.
Yes, absolutely.
An egg.
But no, I actually noticed it with Elephant Man kind of for the first time, that I memorized the lines, but not the delivery, which sounds kind of obvious.
No,
but it's a hard, like it was a new.
Yes.
It took a while to get to that point. And I'll credit, my scene partners and Howard, mostly you and I were, you were pretty much my scene partner, except for a little bit with Jim and a few others. But I do feel like I've gotten to a place now where the lines kind of sit back here, and then whatever happens in the moment is impacting how those lines are coming out. And maybe that should have happened when I was, in school studying theater 20 years ago. I don't know, but I felt that more with this show than I had, I think, in anything prior to. But also, I think some of that is I really have not had many really kind of meaty roles like this. And that's not to knock musical comedy or anything like that. But, you know, I've not really had many roles like this where I felt like I got to flex those muscles in a way, because, you know, part of that is the form, right? In musical theater, there's a certain amount of requirement that you follow the recipe and you follow the choreography and you follow the staging with a level of precision that I think when you're doing plays, there's a bit more freedom that comes into it, especially with a small ensemble, where if a line comes out a little different, or if, you know, if I blow a line as I did from time to time, that, you know, the dynamics of the moment change and we all respond to it and keep going.
I think that says a lot about listening.
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
That's what I was about to
maybe when you have such a big chunk of a role and you get in there and learn your lines so early, you don't have to be thinking of your lines, right? That's where you want to get to. You want to get to the point.
Yeah.
I almost disagree with you. Respectfully, I totally get what you're saying, but I want to learn it so early that I forget it and then remember it, so that in the moment I can, you know, not improvise, but be in the moment, like respond truthfully to imaginary circumstances, listen to what my partner's giving me and play with them. I love the play aspect, but if you're afraid of, like me, I'm terrified of dropping lines, and I'm the master of like putting my lines backwards and mixing them up and all of those things. Poor Jim. Poor Torvald. But
She
if
was
I
on script.
yeah, if you can get to a point where you've got it locked, at least you know exactly the words, maybe not the direction, but then you can like look your partner in the eye and you can really be in the moment with them. And that is magic. Like that is spiritual. That is all the fluffy words. But I also get what you're saying. Like you don't want it to be rote. You don't want to you don't want to lock into a pattern without knowing the why behind it, for sure.
If I can tack on to that, for me personally, I'm not terribly concerned with how I say or do anything, but what I'm really concerned with is what does my scene partner need out of me? So for example, anyone that saw A Doll's House knows that Nora leaves her family at the end of the show. So that tells me I got to go really hard on you. If you're going to make a decision to leave your family, I can't go soft on you. So it comes down to, what does this other person need to do what they can do? And I think that for me, and maybe I'm learning today how much I intellectualize this process, but for me, that starts to inform everything at that point. If I make some decisions on like, what does Bunny need to get to this last moment, I'm going to give her that, go as far as we need to go. And I think that then that thing happens where we're looking at each other and we're listening and responding. And like one of the best compliments I got out of doing A Doll's House was people felt like they were in our living room together.
Yeah.
And that's what comes of that, is listening to each other and giving to each other and throwing that ball back and forth and catching it and knowing the other person's going to catch it.
And we did that a lot in rehearsal. Like I would say in rehearsal, it got mean. And that was exactly what I needed. Selfishly, I loved it. Be mean, because I needed to bake in there. Jim is you're such a nice boy.
He
That I
tries.
really needed you. I needed to see and feel in my body what it feels like to be screamed at by a man, which actually I think is pretty funny. And it was really hard to be afraid. But when Jim turned it on, then I was like, oh no, I'm very afraid. Okay, yep, I get it. So if we could get to that place, which takes trust, man. Not only did I have to be trusting, you had to trust me that I could handle that, and that I would definitely tell you where my boundaries were.
Yeah, that's not hurting
we
you.
were really careful, I think, of building in safety rails of it may not have been a lot of physical violence in that play, but it was a lot of psychological violence. And so building in the trust so that my scene partner knows that if I say like, okay, time out, that I knew he wouldn't get offended. I knew he wouldn't get upset or anything like that.
Had you two met prior to rehearsals?
Nope.
Nope.
I saw you at the audition.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't even think we read with each other at auditions.
I don't think we read together.
We?
No.
No.
We were on the other side of the room from each
I
other.
remember seeing you read at auditions, and I was like, oh, I want to read with that guy.
Well, and Howard and I had never worked together either. And I do think that that's what you guys touched on as far as like trust and building that relationship. That's such an important thing. And I actually was just talking to someone the other day about Elephant Man and how I feel like there are people in the cast who I didn't know beforehand probably think I'm either a jerk or just kind of aloof, because I feel like I didn't really, I mean, part of it was stage time, right? But so I didn't have a lot of downtime backstage, but I feel like I didn't really just like chat with people because I was kind of terrified and just so like in my own head the whole time.
Same.
But I appreciate that. I think, and I don't want to speak for you, Howard, but I think you kind of clocked pretty early on that like when I was at rehearsal, over at the rehearsal hall, and then when we moved here, like I was focused on the work I had to do. And I don't think anyone held that against me,
No,
that it
of
was
course
just like,
not.
okay, we're going to do the work. And that's how we bond with each other as a cast, is through the work that we're doing.
I mean, if your performance was terrible, then they would have taken
Then
it
they would have,
personally.
yeah,
But
fair,
thank
rightly
God.
so.
Well,
yeah.
I think that was one of the most interesting things about the process, because it was the Elephant Man was my first show at the Playhouse.
Yeah.
So it was a new environment, and I felt a lot of trust from Carolyn and from Michael, and giving me such a difficult role in my first role here.
What a huge role for
I know.
your first role.
It's intense.
Yeah.
Bravo,
It was
man.
it was
Wow.
very fun. But one of the things that made it less intimidating at the beginning was because everyone was committed to the rehearsal process
Yeah.
really early on. And
Mm.
when we were there, we knew what we were there to do, and we took it seriously, and everyone bought in, which is super important. Especially for a show that has such a distinct language and a distinct dialect and a very multifaceted message within it. And Carolyn was giving us those difficult questions early on of who really is the lead character? What are these characters trying to get the audience to go through? What is the journey? And I think that was an important way to set the stage for all of us to succeed together, because we got through the blocking really quick, and it allowed for everyone to start being active listeners in the scenes and trying different things and working with so many different people from different from different areas of theater and different levels of experience. I think only helped to make it a collaborative process through and through. So I enjoyed it a lot.
That's wonderful to have a rehearsal experience. To be able to take the work seriously, but to have fun, like to find that balance of like what we do is play. It's called a play, not a strife.
Right.
Let's have fun. But let's take the work seriously because you are worth it. You are putting the time in. So it matters, and your time matters. That's all we have. Right. So that's so wonderful that you're able to find that balance.
So
First show. Oh my God.
not
My
first show
first
ever.
show here.
First show at
First
the
show
Playhouse.
Right.
here.
No. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I've seen you in other things.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
I want to ask you. I mean, we obviously went to college together. We've known each other a long time. Done a lot of shows together.
Years.
When you first, got cast as Nora,
Yeah.
and I know we talked a little bit about like what is our initial like prep or whatever. Where did you start? Other than the script and the things we already talked about, like how do you unpack? It's such an iconic role. I know too that you've
I
directed that
it.
show.
Yeah, I felt like I was cheating.
Yeah, so that always is a little
Insider
bit weird.
trading,
Yeah.
But it was a totally different,
Totally different
show,
production.
totally different
Yeah.
angle. Wow. I was first of all I cried for like 3-4 days just out of just. I was
You'd
so
also been away
thankful.
from doing shows
That's
for a
correct.
while
Yeah,
too.
I had been away from doing theater for years. Really, I think years and years. I think the last time, I can't say it because it is the Scottish play, but it was that guy. I played that guy, and
Right.
not even the missus,
Not the lady.
the sir. And that was a devised piece, and it was Shakespeare. And my background, I guess I've done probably more Shakespeare than anything. So coming into that she wore some big shoes, not literally. My feet are very small.
Dainty
even. How do I even stand upright? So going into it, I knew the big shift. So what was interesting was I directed that show, I want to say 10 years ago. And I had been married for 3 whole years, and I knew everything. And so then to look at that show through fresh eyes as a mother, as a wife, as all these identities, and to strip those all away and to see who was Nora inside. Well, she was just this little baby girl. She was just this little baby bird. And I approached Nora as if she were 14. And just the youngest little princess. and then put on top all of these roles and all of these identities that I, as a 40-year-old woman, have since acquired, and to feel the weight of that. It really wasn't that big of a stretch. Not that I'm going to, Nora on my life, but one can see, first of all, wow, we're still doing this play how many hundreds of years later, and I'm still involved in this play. There's a reason why I'm still drawn to this work, and what has shifted in my life and what has not shifted in my life. And yeah, to be somebody to come back to my own identity, playing a woman coming back to her own identity. I mean, again, I felt like I was cheating. I felt like this really isn't acting so much, not the big themes anyways. I always said, like, oh, the end will be easy. It's the first 3 quarters where I got to be baby girl. That's hard. But the end where I get to be really, really angry and disappointed by mediocre men, no offense, like, that's being alive and being a woman. No offense.
None taken.
No, your elaboration there sort of got me to
Probably
different.
clock.
There's
That was not fishing.
similar.
That was doing the
He
opposite of
is
fishing.
amazing. I mean it.
Well, thank you. That's
You're
very
welcome.
kind of you. I don't know if I believe you, but thank you.
I am
so
a
no,
good
I
actor.
old friends.
oldest
Sorry.
friend in the world.
Old friends.
Ancient friend.
So no, I don't think I definitely try to start fresh with each character. To varying degrees of success, I would imagine. I will say one thing I did think about with the Elephant Man was years ago, I had played Tobias in a concert version of Sweeney Todd here at the Playhouse. And there were moments where I'm like, oh, my physicality feels like I'm, but no, like, and also it was 20 years ago. So, I need to kind of let go of that. But that's where I think there's probably some overlap, but it's not really a conscious choice one way or the other. Yeah.
I am in love with every one of the characters I've ever played. I know you're not supposed to judge your
Yeah,
character.
that's hard.
I am in love with all of them.
Yeah.
I cannot think of one that I was not some way in love with, even the bad ones. And I, like the morally reprehensible.
Sometimes especially the bad ones,
God.
right?
What I would love, though, I would love the opportunity, not that I'm fishing, but if you're out there, I'd love the opportunity to play a character so terribly bad, so evil, that I can't wait to leave them behind, because I love them. And I'm like, someday, 1,000 years from now, when I'm finally gone after they will all be there, because they're all like shades of me, and I love them so much. That's so egotistical, but I believe that they're all there in here, and I love them, even the bad ones, especially the bad ones. So cast me today to play someone terrible.
Yeah, so when I think about doing Boys in the Band with Howard, I love that character so much. I've played him twice. I'm far too old to play him ever again. I mourn that because I love him so much. But when it came to something like Torvald in A Doll's House, I thought for sure I can let this guy go. He's just he's a nasty piece of work. But to your point, like, the more you spend your time in that character's skin, I feel bad for him. I feel bad that he goes through life the way that he does, and he kind of needs a hug and someone on his side.
Yeah.
So in a way, you find those moments that where maybe he's trying to be sweet, or he's trying something, he's just not getting there, and you start to feel for that side of them that the audience probably doesn't see, but it's in there. And so in a way, even as terrible as he is, yes, I still want to I miss him a little bit.
I know. And when you see someone else playing the character, like, I watch it like sport. I don't sport, but I used to sport, and I watch it like sports, and I'm like, oh, what a choice he made, and oh, this and that, and I want to sometimes be like, move, I'll do it, move. When I want to do that, usually it's because the show is so good that I'm like, ooh, I want to play, please let me play. But I wonder if are there roles where you've seen where you've been like, put me back in, coach. Like, it's not even that I can't even, I just really put me back in. Is there a role?
Like roles that we've played?
Yeah,
or
yeah,
just
yeah. Is there a role that you would want to play again now that you're older, that you, not necessarily that you've seen it and you're like, let me do that. But just, is there a role that you're like, man, now that I'm a little bit older and a little bit wiser, or a lot of bit older, I would love to get back in there. Put me in, coach.
Honestly, most roles.
Really?
Like, truly. And that's not, it's not that I necessarily want to actually do that or go through the process of rehearsing and doing all that again, but I just feel like as actors, and this sounds so cliche, actor
Yeah,
or
do
whatever, but we are always learning, right? And so I would have to say I'm a better actor today than I was a year ago. And
yeah,
you
we
know,
should
like
all
that's
be.
the whole point of this, right? And so with that in mind, I think back on roles that you know that we played together at Gannon when we were in our 20s and
God.
thought like,
Oh,
man,
we're so
we
good.
are so good.
We're
We are
so
the
good.
best. No one has Joel Gray, who like no one has ever played the MC
Alan
like me.
Cummings, never
Yeah,
heard
right.
of him.
Never heard of him. Zach
Mhm.
Flock, more like it.
Yeah.
But no, but I look back and I think like, man, I mean, I'm not going to subject anyone to this, but like, oh, I would love to play the MC again. I would love to just, you know, so many roles
so
that I played again, I would
interesting.
love to do again.
Hmm.
But it's probably more about my ego than it is about, you know, anything else.
Well, and reliving the magic of being in that character too, though. You know, that
Right.
spark.
'Cause I
Yeah,
love them.
yeah.
Yeah. Who would you play?
Oh God, I'd love to play Cliff in Cabaret again.
Oh,
Like he's
Let's do
we're
it, man.
putting the band in.
yeah.
comparatively like such a boring character, but I just love the way he just observes so much and takes this sumptuous world in and gets to dip his toe into it and then be crushed by how
Yeah.
frightening the world actually is.
I have
It's
to be
amazing.
Fraulein Cost again. I swear
No.
to God.
I have thought though, like having played the MC now, I'm like, you know, Cliff would be a really like I feel like that's an overlooked character a lot of the times. Like
Absolutely.
he is. I mean, the book is his, right?
My Eyes a Camera.
Yeah, I Am a Camera. I think. Yeah. Like he's the central figure. He's the observer of all of this. Like, yeah, no, I'm with you, Jim. That's a great role.
I have a question for you all, and this is not a process question. It's kind of a romantic theater question, but I think that most people that walk into this building will never know the answer to this, but we all know the answer to this. And that is that when you're in a show and the lights go down and the show starts and you're out there, what does that feel like to you?
As an audience member?
As a performer? Because I learned something. My first show was Elephant Man 2, and I learned something very specific about being out there. And I'm curious about what you guys think on this stage in this space.
Yeah. On this stage in this space.
So when I did Doll's House, there was a pre-show, like a preamble. So I was out here with the lights on, and I was out here looking the audience in the eyes, and I mean, of course, it's terrifying. But then, and every night was the same. Every night was like, I've done this, and then I get out there and I'm like, oh my God, I haven't done this because I haven't done this with these people. These are my stage partners in this. And so there was a moment of like, yes, I was acting. I was in my like trying to be
the first response that you get is intimidation, I think, for almost anybody. But what I found is that it actually made it easier for me to get into the world once the show actually started, because I was so used to being able to see and recognize people and get a gauge on how it's going, for the better and for the worse. You know, everyone has had it happen. But in this space, it was so easy to slip into getting into the process for the show and just getting going. But in those moments where you could connect through an audience reaction, whether it was a gasp or some sort of, there are different ways you pick up on it. You can feel the energy when the audience is engaged and when they're not. And it just is different. It feels different in a space like this.
Yeah, when you're used to smaller venues and, you know, similar to our experience at Gannon in a black box space, and then obviously Drama Shop for a number of years.
Yeah.
It is a different feeling being in this proscenium space and feeling, you know, that separation. You know, it's very real in this space. But I will say, I think my experience for Elephant Man might have been just a little bit different, because my first scene, I mean, I'm behind a scrim, but then when I'm first visible, I'm, you know, wearing only shorts and I'm physically transforming into the character, facing the audience. And I'm not going to lie, I was looking at the audience and not to pick out any individual people or anything like that. But it actually became, you know, I didn't intend this until the first couple, you know, nights with an audience. It became this moment where Merrick was realizing that, oh, all these people are looking at me. So it really was a moment of transformation for me into the character as well. Like it was really, I think without, I love the construction of the script, because that moment helped me then to build into that and to do what I needed to do for the rest of the show. Jim, I feel like you had a specific answer in mind.
I do. I was surprised because
Yeah.
when we moved out of the rehearsal hall for Elephant Man and into the space, this is a lot. This is a
Yeah.
lot. And I could feel my legs underneath me trying to
Yeah.
like kind of get my balance. But I was surprised to discover that once the lights go down, I feel tremendously safe.
Yeah.
In this area
Right.
specifically. I guess because when you
It's that
choose
separation, I think.
because when you choose to do plays, you are doing it in smaller spaces.
Yeah.
Usually.
Right.
You're used to seeing the
And
faces.
you're right on top of the audience,
And
you don't have
just
that
not
here.
here. So it's
Yeah.
almost like you are in your living room and there happen to be noises out there as well.
Yeah.
But there is an amount of radiating that you need to do, though, that I find difficult in a play here sometimes. Luckily, like, we got to do work that was melodrama, and
You
I
mean
that
radiating the energy
radiating
out
the energy
beyond,
out. Like,
because there is such a distance.
yeah, it felt Shakespearean
Yeah.
at times, and I got to have Nora got to have quite the ending and fill the space, but with the sounds of her desperation.
Yeah.
But even before then, to radiate out whatever you're radiating out, it is a lot, and it really takes knowing what you're doing and trusting each other and telling the story and being aware of the audience but not aware of the audience. It's kind of crazy making in the best way. There were times where I would like step back behind myself and witness what was happening and what I was doing. That sounds so crazy.
Out of body. Yeah.
But
no, I
yeah,
get it.
like you step a couple steps back, and you are still doing it. You're still in it. And you're like, oh my Lord, the ceiling is very high.
Yeah.
I got to radiate up into the corners.
Yeah.
But also this place is special, though. This actual place is very special, and you get hit with the history of it.
There's
when
an
you're on
energy.
here.
I mean, I don't know, not to get all woo woo, but I'll get a little woo woo and just say that there is this
One woo.
energy here that feels like the energy of the performers and performances that have come before us.
Well, there's tremendous
you know?
history in
Yeah,
this building, in this
yeah.
particular building, and they do tremendous work. And so when you are up here doing your thing, you have the weight of that
Yeah.
behind you, and either you can let it kind of like sit on top of you and feel scary, or you can let it pick you up and rise up to that. And I think that the shows here do that. They rise up to the
Yeah.
historical elements of that.
So listen, I could do this for hours,
know.
but we've gone
Sorry.
on longer than we intended to, but it's been an awesome conversation. I wish we could keep going. Nicole Lossie's making me rap. No, truly, this is an awesome conversation, and I would love to keep going for hours and hours. But that said, I do want to give an update here. I think we have it on the screen. So we are now up to 44,873. I'm not sure where we started because it's been a long day, but that is incredible. We're now up to 249 donors. Again, eriegives.org. If you'd like to make that donation, you have until midnight on eriegives.org. Or if you want to give by phone, you've got 15 minutes left to call 814-454-0843 and donate by phone. Jim, Howard, Bunny, thank you so much for joining us. We will be back at 8 o'clock for our final live stream of the night. So join us then. Thanks, everybody.